So, welcome to Assets and Algorithms, the show where we explore the intersection of real estate and technology. Today, I have with me Mike Russo, who is the founder of SparkOffer. And thank you for joining me today, Mike.
Thanks for having me, Derek.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about this episode. I'd love to dive into a little bit about SparkOffer, but first, I want to hear a bit about your role and your journey to the company.
Sure. So first to start off, I sold SparkOffer at auction.com, right?
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I'll go through. So today I actually wear the hat of head of product innovation at auction.com. The journey is that, I've been around for 20. I started in franchise sales at what's called Anywhere today, which is Coldwell Banker. I started out as franchise sales at Coldwell Banker. I was first of two guys in to do franchise sales in February of 2004 for Sotheby's International Realty when we acquired it from the auction house. And then in '06, I had the bright idea that I wanted to be in brokerage, and I wound up going to Aspen, Colorado with the intent of being a partner. And I wound up being the majority owner, and I had both the blessing and the curse to own it through the '08 crash. I believe that at the time I coined the phrase that no one actually needs a home in Aspen. So during my time there, I met some guys from the Vail Valley that had built an email marketing system for real estate developers. And I was like, hey, you guys are excuse me. Hey, you guys are missing the boat. That's not the bigger market opportunity. The bigger market opportunity is agents. I became a co-founder. I invested money, and we were one of the first Techstars companies. So right at the intersection of why the market crashed, we were now starting a tech startup called Resora, which still exists today. My partner, Paul, runs it, which was an email marketing platform for real estate. The lesson there, like going back to like technology, like the point of your show, is I didn't realize it at the time because I'm much wiser now when it comes to building product compared to before. But my reason for getting involved with Resora was I was, as the brokerage owner, spending tons of money on marketing for my company. When you look at the data, it says, over 50% of the business comes from repeat and referrals to the agents. And agents, didn't spend a lot on marketing, and they weren't involved in doing email marketing. Half of them didn't have databases. We didn't even have iPhones yet. I mean, iPhone was
Right.
relatively new, right? And so, but in the idea of product, what vaulted Resora was one product feature that nobody had, right? And that product feature was we created a wall, right, that an agent could upload their contacts into Resora. The brokerage could send email marketing to those contacts, but the two couldn't see each other. Like the agents could see all the results, the brokerage could see the high level results, but the brokerage could never see the agent's data, right? And that was a big thing at the time, right? Now the feature, like other features, since gets copied. So after Resora, not after Resora, because it was so hard to raise money, which Resora has always been 100% bootstrapped. I have 5 kids and I needed to make a living. And so I became a partner in a company called Concierge Auctions. Concierge Auctions grew to be the largest luxury real estate auction firm in North America and Europe. It's since been acquired by Anywhere and Sotheby's Auction House. But I left in 2017. But even during my time there, we built our own internal technology team that my partners sold to Berkshire Hathaway. And then in 2018, I came up with the idea of SparkOffer, which was to really it was to be able to make it easy, like an auction, to make offers on real estate. And I think this is where you and I will have a very interesting discussion on answering the challenges for real estate tech, for prop tech in general, because I've got a lot of opinions on it. I've spent a lot of money and I've had a lot of time to think about it. So that's like, I know it's a mouthful, but like it's been a long journey. I covered 20 years in 4 minutes.
Yeah, it has been a long journey, a ton of experience and all of it in the prop tech space before it was even called the prop tech space. So,
Before there was a term for it.
right, exactly. So I appreciate that. And you have a wealth of knowledge, I'm sure. And I'd love to dive into a little bit about the shifts that you're seeing now as it relates to technology and real estate, and a little bit about why it hasn't already been more adapted across the industry.
So I always said after I started SparkOffer that if I was going to create, because everyone's like, I'm very happy auction.com. I love my role. I have a special place in the universe because I did auction $1 billion worth of homes in 7 years. And so coming into a place that is named auction.com is a special place for me. People always ask, like, what are you going to do next? I'm like, I'm here, right? I'm not doing anything, not doing any new startup. But if I did, I'd focus on MarTech, right?
Mm,
And because if you think about what we do, what agents do, right? And I'm a broker in 4 states and I'm an auctioneer in Texas and um, I buy and sell homes, I own rental properties. I mean, there's not much I haven't done. I haven't done a syndicate yet. I haven't done that, right?
okay.
But it all comes down to frequency,
Mm,
right? And I can't pronounce his last name. It's Oji Udez. We'll just go with Oji. He's a well-known product manager. He was a product manager at Microsoft. He was head of product at Typeform. And I listened to him once on a podcast with something like that just hit me with a ton of bricks, right? And that
mhm,
is for his own personal seed investing, he doesn't invest in anything that's not going to be used at least 3 times a week, right?
mm,
Because you'll never form a habit out of it, right? And when you start to apply that to the real estate market, 70% of realtors, they say last year didn't sell a home,
mm,
right? So they have no habits, right? You take the 30% that even sold a few homes, or you take the average of 5 homes, or even if you just said, somebody sold a house every month. What's the main activities that they need to be good at? Like prospecting, right?
mhm,
Marketing and prospecting, right? So this aspect of where I was starting at SparkOffer, like creating a digital way to make an offer, a digital way to negotiate an offer, really only works in a big marketplace like an auction.com, right?
mhm,
Because you need lots of transactions, right?
mm,
In comparison to like, I'm going to sell software to empower the local real estate agent, and I encountered this in my early days of SparkOffer, where it's like when the multiple offer craze existed, and it's like, hey, use SparkOffer, and they're like, yeah, I don't need it, right? Because like it's not that hard to me, even to manage 50 offers. It's still, I do it. I did it once this month, maybe I did it twice this month,
mhm,
right? I didn't
mhm.
do it every day,
Right.
right? And I think if you just take that view towards prop tech,
Mm,
right, and say, if you look at the audience, how frequent does the audience need this? It's not really frequent, right?
mm,
And now just say like, hey, I'm going to do it for the consumer. It's even less frequent. Like it's like once
yeah.
every 5 to 7 years if you're lucky, right?
Mhm,
Even for like people that buy and sell and flip, multiple homes a year, it's still like not that much, right? And that's why I think that when you see the most successful companies out there, what are they doing? They're doing something regarding marketing, right? And I don't think AI changes that, right?
right.
I just don't.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because marketing is the basis of ton of business in general, right? Like you have to fill up the top of the funnel to bring in customers, and real estate specifically because it is such a people business, you have to bring in more people. So having a tool that allows you to bring in more people can accelerate your business and maybe change those statistics from 30% of realtors selling houses to 70%, flip it upside down.
One thing, if you think about that from a business standpoint, transactions roughly don't, we're going to be like low of 4 million at the height of the craze after COVID. We were at 6 million, right? So that's, what is that? 25% shift, right? That's
Mhm.
pretty, pretty rare, right?
Right.
Usually annual transactions are pretty tight bandwidth. So when you're a real estate agent, or you're coming to the market or whatever, like the thing you're 100% doing is just trying to grab market share,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So you're not creating a bigger market, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, I don't know what else can I tell your audience?
Yeah, I'd love to ask you about how technology has impacted your business's growth strategy, right? You've had a ton of success with a few different tools that you mentioned. I want to focus on SparkOffer. Can you tell me a little bit about how you guys were able to scale and grow that company before the acquisition?
So I would tell you, like in the idea of scale and growth, we never hit it,
Mm,
right? What we really wound up doing is creating some innovative features, number one. Number two is that we got a couple core customers that paid us well, right? And so while my dream and the reason I came to auction.com was to be, it's really hard. My dream was a marketplace, right?
mm,
My dream was not to be a SaaS provider, right?
gotcha.
Anybody that's sold software to real estate agents will tell you it's extremely hard, right? And now in the world of AI and the world of AI agents, I think it's going to get harder, right? So because you can do an amazing amount with ChatGPT or other software tools, right?
Hmm.
So for example, I pay for ChatGPT $200 a month one, right? And if you haven't tried it, like you should try it. And if you're listening to the show and you haven't tried it, like you should try it, right? And forget the
Absolutely.
fact that it costs you $200. There's no, like, you can cancel after 1 month, right?
Hmm.
But I'll give you an example of time savings, and I'm like just scratching the surface, right? Where I don't have MLS access in a lot of markets where people will ask me questions about, the market. I've also gone out and picked different properties to say, like, where should somebody be looking? And you can literally do a Redfin search, plug that search, you got to get it narrow, right? Plug that search into Redfin and say, I want you to go through every property that's on this search, right? And I want you to tell me, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the quality of the property based on, like,
Mm,
one's a tear down versus like 10's brand new and 5 is like this and 70. And it'll do it.
mm,
It'll break down, it'll go through every property and break down. It's amazing.
right.
Right.
Hmm.
And so, a guy that was working me at SparkOffer, Sam Majurian, works at agent.ai now, right?
Hmm.
And building AI agents. And like, I really am a believer that that's the future, right? Where people can easily pick up in a marketplace an agent that does a micro task for them. And like, that's how they'll implement it in their life.
I definitely agree. I think that ChatGPT is one of the most powerful game-changing tools that have been released to the market recently, and it has so many applications. But I think the couple that you mentioned to real estate are tremendous. I've seen people use it in multiple different ways: content, lead generation, like you said, to grab that market share and fill up that top of the funnel. I think you've got a real sharp read on the future of transactions, especially from where you sit at auction.com. I want to ask, how do you think AI will play a bigger role in the industry over the next 2 to 3 years?
How will AI play a bigger role in the industry in the next 2 to 3 years? That's a good question. Honestly, like, it really comes down to like how people apply it. So, for example, Mike Delpreet, who's a industry analyst guy that does analysis, opinions, whatever. He's really great podcast. He said on one of his podcasts recently, because everyone's like, AI is going to improve search. I know two people personally. They're like, we're building like the AI search, so like we can narrow down like exactly on the right house,
Right.
right? And he said something that I hadn't thought about, where I tend to think he's right,
Hmm.
which is when you think about someone booking travel, I'm going to go on a vacation. Like, part of the fun of doing that is, and I'm doing it right now with my wife, we're going away for our 25th wedding anniversary in August.
Mhm.
It's like part of figuring out where you're going to go is the fun of like dreaming of like, what's this like, right?
Right.
And if we created AI that like narrows down, like I gave it my preferences and then like it just narrows down to like, here's the exact right house for you, it takes some of that fun away, right? Like,
Mm,
and people have to look at less houses today. I mean, when my wife and I bought our first house in 2000, I mean, we looked at, I don't know, we must have looked at 20 houses. When I got transferred to Chicago for my job, we looked at like 20 houses in a day, right? And so it's already like improved that.
right.
But do I want it to be like, this is exactly the 3 houses you should buy? I don't know, right? I think he tends to be right on that. But people are chasing that. You'll see improvements at Zillow, right? I think that from a consumer perspective, it's probably going to be more educational, right? because it's a big purchase, right? And if the AI can help me make a smarter decision or get me more comfortable, right? I think that's the real thing agents have to be. I think like what'll get killed is the agent that doesn't have knowledge, right?
Mm,
The part-time agent that finds a customer once in a while, like AI is going to be able to beat them as far as asking questions as far as that, right? The survivability of a real estate agent is going to be super hyper local, right? Like
mm,
your value to the customer is going to be the knowledge that you have because like I know that like this person did this and I knew this person did that. Like everybody wants, what they say on Wall Street, right? Like, what's the color on the deal? I think like, it will come down to like, how does AI in the next 2 to 3 years just make people more efficient,
mm,
right? But not too efficient, right? It's got to be like,
right.
how does it do the stuff that takes time that allows me to do the important parts, which is like be in front of people,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even if you take just scheduling, showings today, it's still pretty bad, right? Like it's better
Hmm.
than it was, but like it's still not awesome, right?
Hmm.
So that's something that, I think could be majorly improved on, but I don't see any like game changers yet, right? At least
Mm.
my brain's not big enough to envision it.
No, I understand. We are still early, right? What AI is able to do now, it wasn't able to do 2 years ago when ChatGPT was first released. So the future, it could change. I mean, they've released some pretty wonderful features now, but I do appreciate that perspective because it's grounding, right? I think a lot of people can get carried away with what it's able to do and imagining what it can do when they should be still focused on that connection and that imagination of what we can continue to do and it can enhance us in doing. So I appreciate that, Mike. I'd love to give you the chance to let people know where they can find you, where they can reach out to you, and any last words that you'd like to offer.
So first, the best place to find me is LinkedIn, right? Just search my name. It doesn't have a short UR handle, but Mike Russo. Just find me on LinkedIn. You can
Okay.
find me on Twitter. I don't use it that much. It's Mike S. Russo and YouTube, actually. I have a YouTube channel that's at Mike S. Russo. So youtube.com/at Mike S. Russo. No, anyway, my big thing to people is how can I be helpful? And so anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to be helpful in their journey in real estate, whether it's buying your first investment property or prop tech. I think my message to the audience is that what I've learned over my over a decade in building software tools is I've become even more hyper focused on how we're solving a sharp problem. And if you haven't found on how you're solving a sharp problem, then it's going to be a tough road. And so and today a lot of that revolves around, in my opinion, speed of communication and also somebody that's looking at what the alternatives are, right? Like, is your product really needed when text messaging works just fine? So, and lastly, on that note, no matter what product somebody's building, your three biggest competitors are, well, four: status quo,
Hmm.
right? ChatGPT, Apple,
Hmm.
and Google, right? Because a lot of things that people are building, it's like, yeah, but you could just use Google Sheets for that.
Hmm.
So Zapier is an amazing product, but the future is definitely AI agents, 100%, right?
Yeah.
So if I was young today and I was building something, and I would be less focused on how am I building like this amazing thing. Like, start with building one really good AI agent that people can use and they'll pay you for, and like go from there.
Awesome. I think that's great advice. I appreciate your insights today, Mike. And thank you for joining us on Assets and Algorithms.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks for having me.